Hi, my name is Ashley Sun, and I chose to research trauma-informed strategies for classroom management for students affected with trauma. This video is from an artifact for 691. Here is a list of my references that I used throughout my research process. This artifact relates to Wisconsin Teaching Standards 1 and 2. Teachers know the subjects they are teaching, and teachers know how children grow. I wanted to develop an understanding for how behavior can influence learning in the classroom and provide instruction that supports intellectual, social, and personal development of my students, as well as making instructional decisions based on their development. I'm committed to helping my students develop self-confidence and competence in the classroom. The goal of my research was to find research-based strategies that worked the best with elementary students affected by trauma. The American Psychological Association defines trauma as an emotional response to a terrible event. Examples of traumatic experiences include physical or sexual abuse, neglect, experiencing or witnessing a domestic violence, witnessing community or school violence, and any natural or man-made disasters such as fire or weather-related. These experiences in the classroom or behaviors you might see are aggression, depression, attendance issues, there might be anxiety. And some of my key research findings were 64% of people experience at least one of those traumatic experiences, or also known as ACE, an adverse childhood experience. And 22% of people experience 3 or more of those ACEs. Students affected by trauma find themselves in survival mode, the flight, fight, or freeze mode. When a situation in the classroom interrupts that child's sense of safety, that's when the fear and misbehavior is brought on. Teachers need to understand the impacts of those events that it has on the student, not the actual event itself. So trauma-informed strategies need to be reparative, restorative, and enhance resilience in the students. It's restoring that sense of safety and empowerment for the child. 3 trauma-informed strategies I researched or found through my research were self-regulation, mindfulness, and de-escalation. Self-regulation is the use of our bodies as a tool or a resource in calming our bodies. And this can be done through the use of music, movement, and just expressing our emotions helps us to activate both sides of the brain to achieve that self-regulation. And I created a lesson to help my students understand how their brains work by using the terminology, the downstairs and upstairs brain. So using both parts of the brain working together to stay balanced and achieve that self-regulation. I plan to tie in that lesson about the 2 parts of the brain with a current curriculum we use in the classroom called Second Step and the unit on emotion and management. I really like how they use the hand as a model of the brain to show flipping your lid, they call it, teaching the students that thumb or that midbrain where we want to stay regulated, if our lid is flipped or we are escalated, that the midbrain cannot do our thinking that we want. So teaching them the parts of the brain as well as using the hand as a model will help achieve this learning for students. Mindfulness is another strategy, and this can be done in a lot of ways in the classroom, such as brain breaks, yoga, body awareness exercises, and deep breathing. On the left there is an example of star breathing, where the student would follow with their finger and follow the words around the star. Another thing is just having students connect the body and mind to help maintain that regulation. I plan to incorporate more mindfulness in my daily schedule with the students so they know that it's expected that we will do that throughout the day. And the third strategy that I found is de-escalation, and that can be done a couple of ways that I researched. Is physical rhythm as an example of de-escalation and an escalation map. Physical rhythm is just basically having the student copy your rhythm until you feel that they can take on the rhythm. This would happen before any conversation and processing of the behavior would occur. And then the escalation map is a way for students to show you parts of their day where they feel escalated and parts of the day where they feel de-escalated. This can be used as a tool to refer back to throughout the day, and as well as a tool for you as a teacher to know the parts of the day where a student may be triggered into those behaviors. The impact on student learning. My ultimate goal for my students is for them to know that it's okay to be frustrated, but it's how we handle it that's important. And getting them to be independent in using these strategies will really save on instructional minutes lost. Students will understand how emotions affect both parts of our brain, and they'll be able to reduce the number of behavior problems, especially those times needed to leave the room in order to de-escalate. My reflection on the learning process was that self-regulation, mindfulness, and de-escalation strategies will be beneficial for not only my students affected by trauma, but all students in my classroom. Holding the students accountable for using strategies will help them gain the self-confidence that they may be lacking. After researching these strategies, I want to be able to incorporate structured times in my schedule for students to practice things such as mindfulness. And I also plan to switch around some of the lessons in our second step, our social emotional curriculum, to teach students about how our emotions affect our behavior and the different parts of the brain. And my hope is that incorporating these strategies will allow students more safety and that sense of empowerment and calmness in the classroom. And hopefully this will carry on throughout their day and hopefully into their home life as well. Here's my contact information. I appreciate your time listening to my topic of trauma-informed strategies. I feel they're relevant for all teachers, no matter whether you think you have students with trauma or not. If you think back, 64% of us have at least one childhood experience that we've gone through. So a lot of these can be relatable to those students as well as our entire class. So feel free to reach out if you want to talk more or have any questions. Thank you.